Welcome, everybody. Today is a great day. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. This is very important for us. To stay in your lane means when you're driving, notice this, right? When you're driving, if you're busy hollering at the person next to you, what do you think is going to happen to you? Yes, it may not end well. Why not? Because you're distracted. Now, the car is your life. The car is your life. And if you notice the lanes we are driving next to how many different people? How many people are we driving parallel to? Many, many, many people. And the minute you engage with someone on the left or someone on the right, you have become distracted. So the distraction, in order to save ourselves, the distraction should be something that is beneficial to you, to elevate you and them. But if the distraction causes you to lose focus on your goal, on your vibration, well, then you've swerved into their lane. Stay in your lane. Sometimes we get caught up in looking at other people and what they have and what we don't have and what we think we need, so on and so forth. But in actuality, somebody asked this question last night. It tells you thou shalt not covet your neighbor's anything. And they're like, well, what does that mean? And I'm like, it means the time that you spend complaining and wasting on, I don't have as much as they do. You're not making your own. That's why you don't covet, because you are the one who makes your own existence right now. All the experiences you're making, that's on you. And it's a good thing. It is a very, very, very good thing. Because now you don't have to covet. You don't have to be jealous. You don't have to, oh my God, you're so much better than me. You don't have to do any of those things. You stay in your own lane. And now you create the existence and the experiences that you want in your experience. Because why? You are polarized where you want to be. This is how we do it. This is how we stay in our lane. And sometimes we think that, oh, but if if I don't do it like them, you can't do it like them. The only thing we can do like anybody else is know the law. How we apply the law is also based on our own perceptions. Because as I tell you all the time, you may find causation be the law that jumps out at you first. You're doing all seven, but that's the one that jumps out at you first. Whereas somebody else can think vibration jumps out at them first. Always. We may be living under the law and be guided by it, but the way we apply it is always going to be based upon our own perceptions. Mentalism may jump out at you first and you'll start there. Gender may jump out at you first and you start there. Either way, we are staying in our own lanes. Take your time to pay attention to what's going on. Because 8 billion people, and then still something above that. I don't know what it is, so don't ask me. I'm just telling you that there is. This is a time now when you begin to use the law. You'll recognize that there is something a little bit higher doing something in the shadow. You'll see it for yourself. The more you spend in the law, you will see it. Because you'll begin to sense vibrations. And so when you spend your time staying in your own lane, when you sense an unsavory vibration, when you sense any other kind of vibration, you'll begin to test it to see what it feels like to you. And you're like, oh, that doesn't make me feel good. And what do? You now change your own vibration. You elevate yourself. Because what we end up doing when we practice the law, we learn how to rise above. We learn how to use one law above another law. Because as you can see, causation is above gender, rhythm is above causation and gender. So if there's something on causation and gender that you quite, you don't like that way, look at rhythm. Where in there can you change? Well, you can't do rhythm. Where in polarity can you change? Now you are above the other. You can't break them because they're immutable. They cannot be broken. But you can rise above and use one against the other. This is why you practice. Every time you raise your vibration, you are moving. You're causing it to move against the rhythm. How? The vibration is what influences polarity. When you keep yourself polarized in a particular direction, it's almost like it is in suspended animation. It isn't stopped because you can't stop it. It may, that's why I say it may look to you like it's suspended animation. Look out there then. What just happened? We all know the latest thing that just happened. Where are we polarized now? As a species, as humanity, where are we polarized? We are polarized towards uncertainty. I don't know what's going to happen. That's where we're polarized. I want you to look at that just for a moment. Why is it necessary to keep somebody polarized in a particular direction? What happens when you're polarized in a particular direction? The vibration changes, and then the outcome changes to match that vibration. That's what's happening outside of you. How do you counter it? By staying in your own lane, right? Staying in your own lane. Uh-oh. This is the question. When we stay in our lane, we don't have to worry about how can I protect myself. Practice using the law, and that is what protects you. When you take your attention away from the law, well, now you're going to need protection. Think about that for a moment. When you take your eyes off the law, take your attention away from the law, you now will need protection because you're no longer under the shadow of the all. Anybody can come along and do anything. But so long as you stay in that, if you stay under the law, you don't have to say, oh no, what am I going to do? How do I protect myself? It is your protection is a byproduct of you staying in alignment. Your protection is a byproduct of you staying under the law. This will serve you well if you continue to practice. It's a workshop, don't worry. I'm not going to dig into it so early in the morning. But what I want you to remember is this. When you stay in your own lane, it means you are focused on the outcome that you are creating. You need to stay focused because your focus influences the vibration. And the vibration, the longer you hold yourself there and you sustain that vibration, then you know exactly what's coming. Causation tells you that. And you know, and you can feel when it approaches. Because the vibration, you feel it. That's what your body's for. It senses, it feels, and then it tells you. So it's not a matter of, I don't know what to do. It's always going to be stay in your own lane. We stop and we help people. That's because they're on the same vibration as you. Remember, I said we're running parallel to many people. But if you're going to stop and assist, it should be on a vibration that is just like yours, or you're going to elevate somebody else's vibration. They're not going to pull you down. But this requires practice. And when you do it, you will know when and who to assist. Well, how will you know? Because the more time you spend developing your practice of the law, that's not all you're doing. You're developing your intuition as well. That's what you're doing. You're developing your intuition. So begin now. Then you practice, right? Whichever law it is that stands out to you first, that is the one you start to use. If it is polarity, you know you're saying, here I am, that's where I want to be. And you begin to take the steps in between across the bridge. Causation, okay, so if I do that, I'll get this. And you change your action. Gender, oh, what am I projecting outward so that I can get it back? We're always doing it. The law protects us by way of, okay, so when you practice it, let me find the example for you that will make sense. When you are living and practicing the law, your vibration is at a certain level. It's higher than most people's. So when something comes along that's being projected outward towards everybody, because there's 8 billion people, when something comes out and it's being projected outward, because your vibration is where it is, you will be able to see what is being projected and you'll be able to move out of the way of it. This is what your vibration causes you to do. It causes you to see things that, oh, I see what's happening there. Okay. And you will get the idea because that still small voice within you will tell you what to do because that's part of what you're developing intuition. You're developing intuition. So now instead of being behind the ball, you get out in front of. This is how you are protected. It's almost like your own invisible force field. You can see through it, but things that are lower than you cannot penetrate towards you. This is why the scripture will tell you pestilence will not come nigh your dwelling. That's what it means. But how do you know that? Because you can see pestilence everywhere. So this is how the law protects. This is how it protects. This is why you stay in your own lane and do not just willy-nilly intersect with people. Well, because it causes your insurance to rise. One, well, how is that spiritually? It sets you back when you allow yourself to drop down to a vibration that is literally speaking beneath you because you want to engage. And it costs you something because now you have to get back to where you were. And depending on the level of emotional stimulation that happened with that interaction, it could take you a long time. Because this is how we learn, remember, by a strong emotional impact or by repetition. So remember, every interaction is going to cost you something. Make it worth your while. So this is why Neville Goddard says to invest instead of spending. You invest your time, your effort, your energy, your money in things that will pay you a dividend. That's what you do. We all have to eat, sure. But now, if you choose wisely, then the investment pays off in the end with what? Good health. So stay in your lane. It's not a bad thing. You're not ignoring people because you will be guided towards who you're going to help because it will feel a particular way in your body. It will not leave you with, should I? Shouldn't I? I don't know what to do. No, because when you are told, when that still small voice whispers, it is accompanied by inner peace. And it truly is a peace that surpasses all comprehension. Because you're looking at the situation and you're thinking, I should be panicking right now, but I feel a strange sense of calm. You can't fake that. That is what comes from the depths. That is you. That is spirit. It calms the body down. Now, let's take a moment to welcome everybody into the spaces. Twitter. Oh, Lou, I see you. Jeff, hello. Meep, I see you. Welcome to Twitter. It is great to have you here. Fanbase, I see you too. I see you. Billy, Bishop, Matthias, Shanice, Miss McQueen, My Melanin, Zola, L, Yolanda. I see you here. I see you. YouTube, I see you. Sonia, Eminon, Dana, Walter, David, Lolita, the better man, Ms. M. I'm here as well. She says good morning and she's listening with her eyes closed. It's nice. It's great to have you all here. Muck45, I see you too. Thank you all for being here on such a lovely day. So remember, stay in your lane. Why? Because you must choose very wisely where you will invest your time. Look at that for a moment. This is so important for us to do. When I say practice, I mean, how are you living your life? Are you getting up and doing the same things you did every day? Or if you're in 2190, you're doing something new. This is day 14 for some of us in 2190. We're doing one thing. We're creating a habit in 21 days. And then in the next 90 days, what are we doing? Solidifying that habit we just created so we can have a new lifestyle. You consciously have to do this. It is your life that you're driving. But you must be conscious when you do it. Not on autopilot. The only thing that should be on autopilot is what you consciously put there. And when you said, oh, you know what? This is the new behavior I'm going to have. And you keep practicing it every day, every day, every day. That's staying in your own lane. Because now that thing that you programmed into yourself, when it goes on autopilot, you don't have to think about it anymore until it is time for you to change it. Until it stops serving its purpose. It's like the air freshener that runs out. You're like, oh, time to change it. Which means you're paying attention. You notice that when you have that little air freshener in your car and you stop smelling it? When you actually can stop smelling it, and you're like, oh, time to change it. Same thing with habits. When they no longer serve us, they will present themselves. Oh, how did I do that again? Mm, that's your cue to change it. And you change it by practicing the new way of being. When you are busy doing this with your life, it means you're staying in your lane. This is what it means. Also, something else. The distance between the new behavior and you going backward to the old. If you go back to the old 24 hours in a day, keep practicing. It'll get down to 10 hours. You're doing the new way for 10 hours. And then the old way shows up. It's like, oh, snap. Practice some more. Why? Because the occurrence, the reoccurrence of the old way, that's rhythm. Recognize it. If the old way shows up, you're like, oh, keep practicing. Because people ask, how do I know it's done? When the distance between the new thing and the old thing is incredibly long. If you go 6 months and you don't behave the way you used to, you're done. It has already set for you. But remember this: habits don't leave, they just become submerged. Example: you know how when you use your phone and we have the predictive typing on and it goes by way of what you are used to typing? But what if you change your words? Because you learn new words. But if it's been 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 months, 8 months, and you go back and you start to put in that old word again, by any, even if it was just a letter, you get that option again. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's still there. But the thing is, you've submerged it beneath your new way of living. That is why one must ever be vigilant. They don't leave you, not once your body remembers them. Alzheimer's, that's how they leave you. And that's just from the brain. But the body still remembers. The body still remembers. So you see, when you practice and you stay in your lane, you find the things. You will see them. You will see them out there and you'll go, oh, that's not for me. Oh, I know how to protect myself from this. And you start to get ideas because now you're not driven by fear. When you see fear being projected, when you are practicing the law on a daily basis, when you see the fear being projected, when you hear about the things that would cause anybody else to be fearful, you hear it and automatically you say, oh, okay, that's where we are now collectively. Where do I want to be individually now? Polarity. And you start to move yourself in that direction. The law protects. But if you are busy arguing with every Tom, Dick, Mary Jane, and George, come on, you will miss things. That's how come the scripture can boldly say, we are in it, but not of it. You're in it because you're here, but you're not of it because you are under the shadow of the all. That's where you are. You are in alignment with law, and you're living your life from that alignment. This is the beauty of what you have been given, and I strongly encourage you to practice it. You must. This is when we do not allow ourselves to practice because we may be tired. Not just, I'm so tired, it's been a long day. No, I'm talking about tired, it's been a long life where you've been fighting. Remember this: draw your strength from the law. How do you do that? I explained to them how to do it last night on Bible Stories. Let's do it here now. We always hear about gratitude, don't we? Be grateful. It raises your vibration. That's what people tell you. But what they don't understand is the how and the working of it. When you take a moment, because Ms. M was in that space last night and she made a very valid point. And the point was this: when you are grateful for what seems to be little things that we take for granted, like heat, if you're in -20 weather, running water, indoor plumbing, a job, the ability to be an entrepreneur, the ability to be creative, all these things that she mentioned. When you're grateful for those things, what happens? What are you doing when you look at the things that you are grateful for? You have turned your attention where you are polarizing yourself towards abundance. When you polarize yourself towards abundance, right? What happens? The vibration is elevated. And when the vibration is elevated and stimulated, what happens to you? you bring towards yourself things that are abundant. Well, how is that drawing your strength from the law? Because it invigorates you physically. When you turn your attention to where you want to be instead of where you currently are, you are invigorated. The vibration is raised. You cannot stay lower than the vibration. It will bring you up to it. So physically, the mind begins to clear. You got a little bit more energy and you're like, oh, okay. What do you feel? Relief. The other example I gave last night, every time you have a persistent thought, and you just got it there. And sometimes you don't even know you're thinking it because you've been thinking it for so long. It's a habit for you to think that way. What are you doing? Imagine this, if you will. You know how kids are. You got your socks on and you're on the carpet, and what are you doing? Rubbing your feet on the carpet. Well, you know as well as I know what happens when you rub your feet on the carpet for an extended amount of time. You're building a charge. You're electrifying yourself. You're magnetizing yourself. That's exactly what you're doing to the thought. And then what happens? You know exactly what happens when you rub your feet on that carpet for too long and you touch something. Zzz. That's exactly what happens to you. It's predictable, is it not? Well, then, what thought or sensation are you rubbing on the carpet of your body? What are you doing? This is why staying in your lane is imperative, because then you don't waste time rubbing on the carpet for things that do not benefit you. This is what we're doing all day, every day, with that one thought we've got, and it has a ripple effect throughout our lives. So, what are you doing? So, when you stay in your lane, you are choosing your thoughts deliberately. And how do you know that the thought you are choosing deliberately is of benefit? The way it feels in your body. If you can't drive down the road and not cuss somebody out, what's your body feel like? The shoulders are tight. The jaw is tight because you white knuckling it the whole way because you're gripping that steering wheel. Is that ease? No, it isn't. It is stress. And you know as well as I know, because science is telling it to us now. Stress is the root of a lot of things, a lot of ailments. Why? Because that thought and that sensation that you are holding in your body, you are rubbing that on the carpet all day long. And then you're surprised when you get shocked. How can you be? You can predict exactly what's going to happen by way of what you're thinking and feeling and sensing in the body at that time. This is why when you stay in your lane and you practice your meditation, whether it is 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, practice, because it has a cumulative effect inside of you from a cellular level. This is what it does. But if you are busy being pulled this way and that by all the occurrences that are happening, the occurrences will take care of themselves. They always do. So once you stay in your lane, once you stay there and you are practicing and you're focused on the law, it doesn't mean you are ignoring life. It means you're actually now living it to the fullest. Well, how so? Because you are creating the experiences you want to have. And you're not interacting with the things that drag you down. You are actually setting up boundaries for how you'll be treated in the world, because that is how you are treating yourself first. This is what's happening too. What a beautiful question. How do you get away from a negative thought? You can't get away from it. You can repolarize, though. Every time that thought occurs, what is the thought you would like to have instead? If that's too big of a question, how do you want your body to feel instead? because the thought is making the body feel a particular way. So if you think the thought is negative, get out polarity. Where are you now? You're here. Where do you want to be? There. So the thought has to change. What can you think about? So that depends on what the negative thought is. I'm so lonely. Okay, we can start there. You feel lonely. So if you feel lonely, where's the other side of that? Companionship. So what must I do to get companionship? What must I do? Now, the old way, perhaps, is because we feel like, oh, nobody's going to be my friend until I jump through hoops for them and I become a doormat or I become a people pleaser. So you got to know what habit you're going to persist in. If that's the old way, then you got some work to do, which means you have to recognize that you are valuable with or without companionship because you are your first companion. Are you a good companion? Or do you speak to yourself in a horrible way? Then that's not a very good companion, is it? So start speaking to yourself in a way that lifts you up. See, now you're moving from loneliness toward companionship. How so? Because when you start to speak to yourself better, you raise the vibration. Now, see, we think vibration is just this fanciful word, but it is not. Where do you think color comes from? You emit a color, and it is called an aura. So whatever vibration you habitually stay at is what the color of the aura is. So it's not fanciful thinking. These things are there. How do we know? Heart, Brain, or Heart Math Institute, they've just measured. So in order now to change from negative thought to a positive thought, because we like to use those words, what is the thought that you're having? You acknowledge it. And then you say, well, what do I want to think about instead? What do I want to feel like? I just want relief from that one because I don't know what thought I want to think. I just want to feel relief. The minute you say you just want to feel relief, your body will bring you a sense of relief. It does. It does it the same way when you say, I forgot the name of that song. What is it? I don't know that. It's on the tip of my tongue. The song comes to mind. It's like playing a game of fetch. So if you want relief, sit for a moment, or if you can't sit, watch something funny. Listen to something funny, because what are you doing? You're telling your body, relief is what I want, and this is what relief looks like. Relief looks like laughter to me, so you're laughing at something funny. Relief looks like, I'm just reclining here, doing a crossword or Sudoku. You're telling your body that is what relief looks like. Remember that thing in Sesame Street? A loaf of bread, a container of milk, and a stick of butter. That's what the mother sent the child for. A loaf of bread, a container of milk, and a stick of butter. But you notice what happened above her head in the little bubble when her mother was speaking? She had an association with what a loaf of bread looked like, a container of milk, and a stick of butter. So that's what you are doing to your body when you say relief. You're showing it what relief looks and feels like to it. You're telling it this is what relief looks like. You're giving it an image of relief. So that every time something comes up, you say, no, no, remember this? Relief. This is what we're looking for every time. And the distance between the agitation and the relief will shorten or lengthen, is the way I want to say it. At first, it looks like you're not making a change because you're still having that agitation. But the more you redirect or the more you say to your body, no, this is the relief that I want. Right here. See it? Remember this. The more you do that, every time agitation comes up, it gets further and further and further away from you. Agitation does. Because your body will remember what you teach it. That's why you teach it what you want it to know. That's how you get rid of a negative thought. You use polarity to take yourself from the negative to the positive. And whatever steps you took in between there and you could feel the relief, you get up and you do those steps in there every single time. This is how you're forming the habit of relief instead of the habit of worry. But what happens to us sometimes? We forget. And we say, oh my God, I did it again. Hear yourself. I gave in again. I had a negative thought again. But did you not realize what you did? You've been having the positive thought that whole time. So where will you polarize yourself? On the mistake or on the fact? That's exactly what I want you to notice. Will you put your attention upon the mistake or the fact that, oh my goodness, oh, well, that happened. Okay. The good news is the occurrence is getting further and further away. This is nice. So I am doing it. That is how you speak to yourself. That is how you edify yourself. That's how you stay in your lane. Because when you're busy doing that, you don't have time for nonsense. I trust that made sense. Because sometimes you can feel overwhelmed with these things. But if you stop what you're doing, remember, when you stop rubbing your feet on the carpet because you know what you're doing, just just stop. Don't touch anything yet. Just stop and stand right where you are. Because what happens? The charge will lessen. Because why? You took your attention away from it. Now you can put your attention where you want it to be. And now when you hear that energy flows where attention goes, now you will know why. Rub your feet on the carpet. Your attention is rubbing. What are you doing? Building an electrical charge or building energy. So attention goes, right? The energy goes where the attention is. Now you understand it on a much larger scale. So stay in your own lane. Take your time. If you say, "Oh, man, I only got to meditate for 3 minutes today, I couldn't hold it any longer," get up and you'll find another 3 minutes. Do it for 3 minutes again. But then the sensation of relief in your body will be so beautiful to you that you'll want to stay there. And you'll find that 3 minutes becomes 5. 5 minutes becomes 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And you, because you stayed in your own lane and you know how good that feels to you, you will not allow something that is lower than you vibrationally to draw you in. You will see it and you're like, oh, I'm above that vibration. This is nice. And what does that do for you? It elevates you more because you begin to remember what you used to be like. Neville Goddard has a whole technique around it. I remember when. In order for you to remember something, it means it used to be. So it means you are no longer like that. But people run around and they do the I remember technique, but they don't comprehend what they're doing. And then it just feels like they're make believing. And that's why it can't take on the tones of reality. Because you haven't programmed your body. You haven't said, listen to what Neville says when he was trying to leave Barbados and he couldn't get out because he didn't have passage out. What did he do? He said he sat in his recliner chair and he closed his eyes. And every time he walked up the gangplank in his imagination, every time. But as he was walking up the gangplank, his body was feeling a sense of relief. So he's telling his body, walking up the gangplank is relief, which means I made it back to my next appointment. I got off the island. That's what he was telling his body. And the longer he stayed there, he's rubbing on the carpet. He's building it up until he decides to touch. He calls it the Sabbath. He says it explodes out of you. That is what Neville Goddard did. He did it. He got his body so charged up with the thought in his mind. He held his body there, but he had more discipline than the average person. That's why he could do it, because he disciplined himself to do it. He was also a dancer, so he had to be able to do it. He had practice. But with us, when we're practicing that technique, it's too hard. It's not working. Then you took your attention away from it. And when you take your attention away from it, it cannot take on the tones of reality because you're no longer polarizing it. You're no longer increasing its vibration. So you see, that's how he got off the island. Because what happened? He got a phone call the day after saying, "Oh, Mr. Goddard, we have a space for you and your family on this boat." It wasn't a coincidence. He charged himself so much. He polarized himself so much that passage was drawn to him and drawn to him very quickly. Yeah, but sometimes, Angela, things happen to me that I didn't even have to put any effort into. You think you didn't put any effort into it, but it is a vibration that is running in the background. Nothing is random. So if you say, "Oh, well, I wanted that, and I didn't even have to do any SATs for it. I didn't have to meditate for it. It just happened." It didn't just happen. It means that by way of the law of rhythm, you have been practicing a new way to be. And so less and less conflict has been following because you're not polarized towards conflict anymore. That's why the lifestyle now becomes one of ease because that's what you've been doing. You've been putting in the work. But because you can't see it, you think it is not happening. Well, remember, the next time you decide to rub your feet on the carpet, you can't see electricity yet either. But when you touch something, you'll know it's there. I trust that makes sense to you today, Miss Ravioli. I see you. Sometimes, even when I watch something to distract me, I think negative thoughts. Then you persist in showing your body what the positive looks like, what the positive sensation is. That is what you do. When you find yourself worrying, "Oh no," and you're wringing at the hands, "What's going to happen?" Find something to be grateful for. I told you why. You find something to be grateful for because when you start to list it off, "Oh my God, you know what? I paid that bill on time. Yay." Because remember, back in the day, you were always a couple days late with it or a week or two late with it. But all of a sudden, you find that you're paying on time more and more. Well, that means the money is coming in, is it not? So then you look at that and you go, "Yeah, you know what? I can do that. This is good." Next thing you can say is, "Oh, I don't like feel like I want to feel like this." Because every time you persist, what you are persisting in is showing your body what you want it to do instead of what it's doing now. Sit, boo boo, sit. Good dog. This is what we're doing. We have to train. And I know that seems like a very bad analogy. I'm not calling you a dog. I'm saying use the persistence and the consistency of what we do. To train an animal, the trainer must be the one who is consistent, not the animal. Ponder that. The animal is not. It's just responding to the consistency of the trainer. So that's what you are doing with your body. When it's doing something you don't want it to do, show it what to do instead. And every time it says, "Oh, but this one, I remember this one. This one's familiar. I want to do this one. Ooh, I want to do this one." You say, "No, this is what we're doing." That is what you persist in. Because, as I say, by way of law of rhythm, the distance between the old way and the new way lengthens. You will do the new way longer now. But if you do not persist in training and practicing doing the new thing, it cannot take root. This is why it is important to stay in your lane. Staying in your lane means you're putting in the time. because you are worth the time. We want people to come along and invest in us, but we don't want to invest in ourselves, and all you're investing in yourself is to better you. I'm speaking to everybody, including myself. This is what it is. Put in that, it's not even effort. Think about the joy of, oh my God, I don't have to stay broke. I don't have to stay lonely. I don't have to stay the old way. So I'm going to practice being the new. You must practice being the new until it becomes the hidden habit. And you just do it on autopilot, taking on the tones of reality. That is what it is. So take your time and practice and recognize the privilege to practice. Recognize that. Recognize it and run with it. This is what I mean when I say stay in your lane. Your attention is solely upon you. And wherever your attention is, the energy gets bigger, does it not? And when that energy gets bigger, well, then we know what happens. Things begin to unfold in our lives. Esther Hicks says the things in the vortex. When you begin to put your attention on gratitude, all the things that you've wanted just seem to fall into your lap. Why? Because your attention is on you now. It's on ease, it's on relaxation, it is on peace of mind. Here's a testimony for you. I got this one late last night. She messaged me to say, Angela, you know that video you did? I wish I never knew of manifestation. She goes, that hit home for me. She goes, but you know what? You said to fall asleep in a sense of relief. And I did that. And then my husband called me and said, honey, come home. Something came in the mail. Here's how she said to me, a windfall came in the mail. You know what a windfall is? A windfall is a large sum of money. What did she do that made it look like it just happened overnight? It means she had been practicing. She did not give up because she didn't see anything changing. It meant that she practiced and she practiced, and every time the old way came up, she said, no, this way, no, this way. And that's why it looked like it happened overnight. All she did with that relief, remember quantum physics, you begin to put a big dent in the surroundings so that things begin to fall towards you. They come into your own gravitational pull. That's what she did. So you can imagine how I felt last night. I was throwing confetti. Why was I throwing confetti? Because we are beginning to understand the purpose of staying in our own lane. We are beginning to understand and we are beginning to apply. You can't get evidence like that without an application of something. But it is the evidence that she hadn't given up. It just meant that this time it was enough to polarize her in that direction. This is why you stay focused and you keep reminding your body every time it wants to do the old way, do this instead, but you've got to tell it what to do. And you tell it what to do by way of the sensation in your body, because that is what matches. This is what corresponds. So today, right? Yesterday, for some of you, you were here when we um, were trending on Fanbase. And what was the message? The message was what? Stay the course. You don't give up, right? That's that's what it was. If you have one person in that space, there's two of you, you and them. So teach yourself the law. This is why you don't give up. This is why when you say things like, even when you watch something to distract you, you think negative. That's all right. Now you tell your body, we're watching this because we're feeling better. This is what feeling better feels like. And you constantly remind it. That's what it is. So today, I trust that these things made sense to you so that when you start staying in your lane, stay in your lane. Um, I just saw this. Zola, um, go ahead and share the testimony, hon.
Right. And then I think Yolanda wanted to speak to after
Oh,
me. Um, so I just really quick, it was actually three things I've worked on, like laws of creation. One is a kind of small and petty thing, but I worked on it anyway. The first one was this game I started to play at the end of the day to kind of wind down before I go to bed, and I kept losing. It's a new game, and I just envisioned myself winning the game, and I've started winning. So I said, and I just kept winning, kept winning because I kept imagining myself winning. And I said, ooh, I said if I could win, like getting all these points and stuff. And I was like, if I could win in life, like I'm winning in this game. So I took it to the next level, and I said, you know what? There was some family members I had to cut off are kind of unhealthy for me, and I was worried about it because I was like, I really need this tribe or this village for my daughter, but I cut them off anyway, and I envisioned myself like, maybe like marrying into a family or just having this really great relationship, where they took us in. And I kept I was like every night before I go to bed, I daydream about it until I fall asleep, and even though that hasn't happened yet, I can see it's parts of it starting to happen. Like my daughter's making friends. Like places we go. Like it's Sunday school. One little cute little girl came up and hugged her and said, "Hi, I missed you." And they have never met a day in their lives. Daughter was just kind of, it was so cute. She's only 4. Um, and then there was another girl she met through a lady I met at another church that had her granddaughter, and she's off for spring break for the entire week. And when I reached out to her, she wanted to go to the park. And so I was like, oh my God. And we hung out at the park all day yesterday, and we're going to do it again today at another park. And we just were snapping pictures, and they just like connected so well. So I can see that coming to pass. And then the last thing is, this one company owed me money, and I kind of, how you kind of get frustrated when you get the runaround and you're calling different departments and you're at the wrong department and they only handle this. So you do your best. And then that's what I did. I just did my best, and I said, okay, I'm just go on with my life. And sometimes when negative things or trials like that happen, it can kind of put a bad vibe in your body, and it can mess with your mind. But I think Angela, you talk about this before. You said those are like opportunities for us to practice our working on our laws of creation. So I envisioned myself just having the money, and there were things that kind of popped up, like emergencies that I needed money for and stuff that I needed and wanted to get and couldn't. And I'm a budgeter. I budget, I save, I pay my bills on time. I pay my debt down and everything. So I just spoke out into creation. I was like, you know what? I need the money. I wrote down all the things I needed to get, like that were financial and to get taken care of. And I said, you know what? I spoke out to the universe. I need money for this, and this. I need it for all of this. And I just started envisioning myself having money in all kind of different ways. I envision myself hanging around people who have money. I envision aliens coming to deliver money and drop like loads of money into my closet. And I just envisioned like the craziest things. And yesterday, when I left out for the day to take my daughter to therapy, there was a FedEx package on my door. They never always knock, right? So I was rushing, and I just got in the car, and I got my daughter to where she needed to go. And then I, had a moment alone, and I looked, and it was a check from the company that owed me money. And it was in a lump sum from all the times that they didn't pay me. And then I always kind of like do my errands for the end of the day, and then I'll go check my mail on the way home. And I checked my mail, and there was another check from that company from money, the same company that they owed me. So it was 2 checks, and it was like, it was more than what I had asked for. I was able to get the things I needed as well as the things that I wanted. So I just thought that was amazing. And it was quick because the first one was like FedEx. It was like rush because snail mail like USPS post office is slow, but FedEx is almost like sometimes it can be next day. So I just thought that was like wow, they knew I needed this in a hurry. Like, and I spoke it and I thought it, and it was just I just the laws of creation is just what you're saying, telling us to practice on is just like proof that what you're telling us is true.
That's how it works, Zola. That's how it works. Yolanda?
Oh, I just wanted to tell you that I sent you a picture of the notification is in your DMs.
Yes, I saw it. Thank you so very much, my darling. I don't know what I'll do with it yet, but I will probably make a post because I'm excited about that. And Synovia says the caller's energy pulled her resources towards her. And this is exactly what I'm trying to tell you all today. You are the one at the center of your universe. You are. And the more you stimulate that vibration, just like when you rub your feet on the carpet, the more you do that, you will find that things, because you are, they call it in quantum physics bending space time. Like you actually bend the light waves and stuff just pops right in. That's if you could see it, that's what's happening. So it's absolutely amazing. And I am glad for your testimonies, Zola. They are awesome. And it is such an encouragement. And that's why I say stay in your lane. Practice, practice, practice. If you need more help with practice, shoot, slide into my DMs and we'll break it down one on one because some people require that, others don't. There's no judgment. You just come. And it's just one of those things we work on together because it's not that I know more, it's just that the law is what it is. It will elevate you every single time. That's right, Queen Marat. We create our lane. Come on now. So you got to stay the course. This is what we're doing all day, every single day we're doing it. Miss B, I see you, baby, in Twitter. I see you. But that's what I want you to understand today because you are beginning to, the more you hear these testimonies, well, it's only a matter of polarity and vibration till you share your own. And there's nothing too small. Because why? You put your attention on it. You directed the energy there, so nothing is small. Nothing is small. Yamila, you're welcome. So I trust that makes sense to you today, and I encourage you again to practice. What do I want to tell you after that? That's it. Practice. Practice. Practice is not work. Think about think about what's at the end. What's the end? The end result is you get to throw confetti because you have accomplished something. So now there's a sensation in your body of accomplishment. It physically feels a particular way in your body. Accomplishment. Ooh, I did it. Oh, I did it. Yeah, I did that. Accomplishment. It feels good. You may want to do a dance. That is a sensation of accomplishment. Begin to fall asleep with that sensation. Wake up with that sensation. And here's the question: how many nights can you do it before you see the 3D conform to your mind? How many nights can you do that? Oh, you see what I'm telling you? Just practice. Practice. It is your friend, and it is a pleasure to practice. You think about this. How do you know how to celebrate if you don't practice your celebration? Celebrate good times, the celebration. Yeah, you remember that, won't you? Celebrate. Get that sensation in your body so that that's what life feels like to you. Life feels like this. Tell your body, it feels like this. Yeah, good celebration. It feels like peace of mind. Tell your body what it feels like so that when you have the thought of wanting something, because you don't want it, you want to create it. Wanting it means you don't have it, but wanting to create it means you want to experience it. So when you say, oh, this is what I'm creating this experience, all right, this is what that experience feels like. And you show your body what it feels like by bringing up the sensation over and over and over again. Association. You're telling a small child A, and you show them the apple. A is for apple. A is for apple. Every time they see an apple, they say A is for apple. Association. So train your body. This is what accomplishment feels like. My life feels like beautiful accomplishment. So show your body what accomplishment feels like over and over and over again. And because accomplishment is beautiful, a beautiful vibrational signature, because every thought has its own vibration, what are you going to do? Because you have your attention on that sensation of accomplishment and the peace of mind that comes with it. It doesn't matter what you want to do. This is why people say, oh, everything is always working out for me. Why is everything always working out for you? Because you showed your body that life is beautiful, it has peace of mind. That's what you're showing your body. And your body says, oh, you mean like this? And all of a sudden you get this experience. All of a sudden, she said, like the law of rhythm is all of a sudden. Oh no, the law of rhythm is rather predictable. So, countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2. Aw, Lou, you just in on the back end, baby. 1. You gonna have to catch the replay, Lou. 1. Thank you all for being here. I love you. Twitter, you know I always close you first. You want to hang around some more? I'll be on YouTube, but I need free hands. I love you, Twitter. Thank you for being here. I see you, Miss B. I've missed you, I haven't seen you in a while. Much love to you, honey. Much love. Twitter is closed. Fanbase. I got a free hand. Yamila Shanice, Matthias, Miss McQueen, Mai, Melanin, Zola, L, Bishop, and Nadia. Yay! Thank you all for being here. And as usual, Yolanda always helps me every single day, and I appreciate that so much. If you want to help me here on Fanbase as well, slide into my DMs and let me know. And I'll pop you a crown so that we mutually benefit each other. So thank you, Fanbase. I see you. I love you all. Much love to you. Fanbase is closed. All right. Not. I trust everything worked out because sometimes I'm gonna have to phone the internet company again. Like it's just annoying me sometimes. Um, yeah, I'll have to do that because I don't like having a disrupted um connection. It annoys me. Elsie, girl, I trust that things made sense today because I love your questions. They're beautiful. All of your questions are beautiful. And thank you to everyone who has been here and showing up every day. It is appreciated. I love you all. And what state do I live in? Oh, I live in Canada, honey. I live in a province. Yes. So the closest state to where I am is Montana. That's the closest state to me, Montana. Yes. So anywho, I love you all. It's it's snowing where you are? Where are you, Elsie? It's good to know. And snowing is fun. I have snow pants. We're actually warming up now. I don't know the temperature out. It didn't tell me. It didn't tell me. Let's look at the weather. It's -7 today. Not bad. Not bad. Barbados is 27. Ah, you in Jersey? Oh, you a Jersey girl. Yes. So you see, even if you get outside, right? Even if you get outside for a little bit, like 5 minutes to get that air on your face, you bundle up, okay? Cold weather's no joke. But even if you get outside and you smell the crisp air, yeah, that crisp air, you smell it, you hear the noises, or you might be hearing quietness depending on where you live and what you live around. That will help you as well. It always does, right? It's all a matter of just training the body for what you want it to do and what you want it to remember to do. This is what we're doing. -7 is not bad. I know it's not bad. I've seen some people um, where they're in shorts and they're talking about, oh, Canada has a different breed. It does. It does have a different breed for winter. Truly. Well, anywho, I will catch y'alls later. I may or may not go live today. I have not decided yet because I do have to put some work in today with auditions and finish some projects. But I kind of still sound congested, and the first part of the book doesn't sound congested. So I can't do the second half congested. Anyway, I love you all, and I will catch you on the flip side. Thank you to everybody who's moderating. Thank you to all my members who show up. Let me call you out. LC, Queen Marat, Zenobia, Anon, Miss Ravioli, Ty's Tidbits, David. Well, David, you said I'm answering your questions. Hmm. Muck 45, Miss M, the Better Man, Sonia, Lolita, Walter, Dana, Eminon. I see you all, and I appreciate you all for being here. Alrighty. Oh yeah, I feel great. It's just that lingering thing, you know how you still have that slight remnant of congestion. More ginger tea. Yes. Aw, you guys are awesome. Thank you. It is awesome. And I'll see you again. And remember, if you have a topic you want covered by way of law, slide into my DMs and let me know. Yeah, because Anot suggested Ruth and Naomi last night by way of law, and so we did that story by way of law. So don't feel scared or shy to suggest things. Go ahead and do it. Alrighty. Hugs and kisses. Parting is such sweet sorrow. I love you all. Oh, upstate New York is also snowing? David. Well, David, you have my email. You can email me. Right? Yes. You can always email me, David. Always. Alrighty then. I'll see y'all